Motivation Myths, Full System Edition. Motivation Myths. Why willpower isn't enough explains why emotion-based motivation is unreliable and how to replace it with practical structure. Introduction. The dangerous romance with motivation. We have romanticized motivation. We celebrate it, we wait for it, we tell ourselves it is the beginning of all change. You hear it everywhere. Get motivated, find your drive, tap into your passion. So people end up sitting still, waiting to feel ready before acting. But readiness is not the prerequisite of progress, it is often the result. Here is the uncomfortable truth. Motivation is unstable. It surges on inspiration and collapses under friction. It feels powerful when conditions are perfect and disappears when challenges arise. High motivation is like a spark, exciting but short-lived. That means if your strategy depends on feeling excited, you will cycle through inspiration, restart, restart. Over time, this pattern can become part of your identity. I'm just inconsistent. I start strong but fade, or I couldn't stay driven. But what if the problem is not your character? What if the problem is your model of change itself? We were often taught to try harder, push through, or resist temptation. But neuroscience shows us that willpower is a resource, not a muscle that never tires. Every choice uses mental energy. Every temptation resisted depletes it bit by bit. If you fight every battle, eventually you collapse. High achievers do not rely on constant heroism. They build systems. They design routines and environments that hold them steady when motivation is low. They make progress inevitable instead of possible. In this audiobook, we will dismantle the myths that keep you trapped in motivational cycles. We will explore why willpower only works in short bursts, how dopamine drives novelty but adapts quickly, how the modern motivation industry can mislead with hype, why identity and structure beat intensity, how to construct a 12-week system for steady progress, why small wins and planning defeat big bursts of hype. By the end, you will stop chasing motivation and start building an environment that carries you forward. Motivation is a spark, structure is the engine. Chapter 1. The Biology of Willpower. Willpower feels like strength, but biologically it is resource management. Imagine you start a Monday with determination. You skip the donut at breakfast and promise yourself to study that evening. You're on fire, at least until real life intervenes. By Thursday, you've made a dozen small decisions at work, sat through meetings, and handled stress. By Friday evening, even deciding what to eat or whether to start that study session feels exhausting. That exhaustion is not laziness, it's decision fatigue. Every choice and every act of self-control drains a little energy. Researchers have found that our mental energy, sometimes linked to blood sugar, gets used up over the day. When it's low, even small temptations become almost irresistible. This is why late-night discipline often collapses. When you're tired or hungry, impulse control weakens. Think of Jordan, who decided to learn a musical instrument in his free time. For 2 days, he practiced diligently after work. By Wednesday, he was drained. Instead of playing, he watched TV, telling himself, "I'll restart tomorrow." By the weekend, he felt guilty and demotivated. He had run out of willpower, not discipline. If your life strategy is resist all the things all the time, you will eventually burn out. Instead, save your willpower. Automate routine decisions. Lay out your gym clothes the night before. Install healthy apps and delete distracting ones. Do meal prep so you don't have to cook when tired. Jordan learned this lesson. He set specific cues, alarm at 6 a.m., phone on silent, so that on Thursday, when he was exhausted, he didn't have to debate hitting the gym, it was just done. Each saved decision meant more mental energy for truly important choices. Take a moment to reflect on this. Where in your day are you wasting willpower on avoidable choices or temptations? What small change, preparation, rule, or removal of a cue could conserve that energy? So, willpower is finite. Decision fatigue is real. Structure your environment to conserve mental energy. Remove unnecessary battles. Chapter 2. Dopamine, Novelty, and the Motivation Trap. Let's talk about dopamine. It's not exactly the motivation molecule, but it plays a big role in how motivated we feel. Dopamine spikes when we anticipate reward or encounter something new. It's what gives you that thrill when you start a workout program or dive into a passion project. That initial spark feels great, but here's the trick. Dopamine adapts quickly. The body down regulates after the first rush. By week 2 or 3, your brain has gotten used to the routine. The workout that was exhilarating in week 1 feels ordinary by week 4. The praise you received initially becomes expected applause, and the next step feels flat. This is a bit like training your dog with treats. The first treat makes him happy, but soon he expects it every time. When the treat doesn't come, he stops trying. Similarly, when the novelty or reward of a task wanes, your motivation dips. Psychologists call the fading of expected reward a negative prediction error. You expected excitement that didn't fully arrive, so mood drops. For example, Jordan felt an adrenaline rush the first time he ran 5K. The second time, he still felt good. By the 10th time, it was just another run. He asked himself, why is this so boring now? The answer, his brain had already anticipated the outcome, so dopamine levels normalized. This is a trap for motivation. When we judge ourselves by how excited we feel, we set ourselves up for disappointment. The truth is, excitement is the spark, not the engine. Once the spark fades, a well-built engine in your system keeps going. Instead of only relying on excitement, build in variety and anticipation. Change your routine slightly, set mini challenges, or visualize your ultimate goal to keep reward in play. But most importantly, understand that dips are normal. Everyone experiences a plateau after the first high. Take a moment to reflect on this. Think of a time you lost steam after the initial excitement, starting a diet, project, or hobby that felt thrilling at first and then faded. What patterns do you notice? How might planning for that drop help you stay on track? So, dopamine gives you a strong start by rewarding novelty. But it quickly adapts. Don't mistake this normal dip for failure. Plan for it with consistency and deeper motivation. Chapter 3. The Motivation Industry Myth. Every day, you're bombarded with motivation content. Social media is filled with smiling influencers preaching bulletproof routines. Video titles promise transformation. Wake up at 4 a.m. to dominate life. 10 Habits of Millionaires. Ads sell 30-day fitness challenges and stacks of self-help books. This is the modern motivation industry. It thrives on hype and quick fixes. The content grabs you with flashy visuals and pumped-up music, giving you a kick of inspiration. But it sells a dangerous myth. That emotion alone will carry you through. The problem is, this industry often emphasizes feeling good over doing good. It distracts you with endless new tips, but few real plans. It suggests if you just had more motivation, everything would be easy. Then if you fail, it blames you for not wanting it enough. Jordan got caught in this. He binge-watched motivational videos on the weekend and took furious notes. He'd sit down Monday morning fired up, only to lose steam when the real work began. He realized that watching people talk about being driven is not the same as being driven. True change isn't about consuming inspiration, it's about applying a strategy consistently. Think of it like building a house. You need a blueprint and a schedule, not just pep talks. If you rely solely on motivational speeches, you might get started, but you won't see it through. Take a moment to reflect on this. Next time you catch yourself in a motivational spiral, like scrolling through inspiring quotes or videos, ask, what am I actually going to do with this energy today? Use that energy to sketch a concrete plan or take one small action. So, the motivation industry sells short-lived spikes. It's flashy but fleeting. Focus on building your own system instead of waiting for someone else's pep talk to do the work for you. Chapter 4. Discipline versus motivation. This is the crux. Motivation negotiates, discipline executes. When motivation is high, you feel unstoppable. But when it's low, you negotiate with yourself, maybe tomorrow. I don't really feel like it. Each internal debate eats away at energy and time. Discipline is making a decision in advance so you don't have to decide in the moment. Jerry Seinfeld had a simple method. He marked a big red X on every calendar day he wrote jokes. As the chain of X's grew, he knew not to break it. It wasn't about feeling inspired each day, it was about not breaking the chain. Similarly, find your never break the chain commitment. For example, if your goal is fitness, decide that Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 7 a.m. gym is non-negotiable. Not if I have energy, it's just done. When Tuesday, 6:59 a.m. arrives, the question is already answered. Jordan embraced this. He used to decide on the spot whether he should work late or go to the gym. After a few failures, he wrote his commitments in his planner and followed them religiously. Now, on Wednesday nights, even if he's tired, he automatically heads out the door because the decision was made days ago. Take a moment to reflect on this. Identify one key habit you debate each morning or evening: exercise, study, work on a project. What if you treated it like a dentist appointment you must show up to? Can you pre-schedule it in your calendar and stick to it? So, motivation asks, do I want to? Discipline asks, when do I start? Lock important tasks into your schedule so you don't have to rely on feeling motivated. Chapter 5. Balancing Extrinsic and Intrinsic Drives. There are two kinds of motivation: extrinsic and intrinsic. Extrinsic motivation comes from outside rewards, praise, paychecks, trophies. Intrinsic motivation comes from inside: enjoyment, purpose, identity. Extrinsic drivers can light a fuse. A bonus can push you to work harder. Compliments can make you smile and keep going. But once those rewards are gone, extrinsic motivation often evaporates too. Imagine working all year for a promotion. When you finally get it, sometimes you feel a strange emptiness. The chase was gone, and without a new goal or personal reason, you might lose focus. Intrinsic motivation, on the other hand, is about what you value. Maybe you love learning a language or feel calm when you plan your week. Those feelings come from within, and they're more stable. You might miss a reward, but you won't quit if you really enjoy or believe in what you're doing. The trick is to connect the two. Use rewards to jumpstart or to celebrate milestones, but aim to transition your focus internally. Find a personal why. Is it a healthier life? Mastery of a skill? Contributing to family or community? These can carry you when trophies fade. Jordan's story again. He started running partly for compliments on social media, extrinsic. After a while, he realized he actually enjoyed the clarity and confidence it gave him, intrinsic. The first few runs were for likes. The 100th run was for the way it made him feel. Take a moment to reflect on this. Take a goal you're pursuing now. Are you doing it mostly for external praise or for your own sake? Try shifting the focus inward. What about the task itself do you enjoy or value? So, external rewards can motivate initial steps, but they don't sustain habits alone. Develop personal reasons and meaning behind your goals to keep going. Chapter 6. Habit Loops and Environment. Our daily habits run on a simple loop: cue, routine, reward. The cue is a trigger in your environment or your mind. The routine is the action you take. The reward is the payoff, even if it's just relief or satisfaction. The cue can be anything: a time of day, a place, an emotion. For example, you might always grab a coffee when you sit down at your desk. The cue: sitting at desk. Routine: make coffee. Reward: energy or comfort. If the cue is removed or changed, the habit often changes too. That's why moving to a new house can alter eating or sleeping patterns. The cues are different. To build good habits, redesign your cues and rewards. Make cues that naturally fit your goal. If you want to read more, keep a book on your bedside. If you want to exercise, put your running shoes by the door. Make the reward real, even if it's just checking off a box on our list. Jordan experimented with this. He loved reading at night, but kept scrolling on his phone in bed. He switched off notifications after 9 p.m. and left a book on his pillow. The next time he went to bed, his hands reached for the book before the phone. The cue had changed. Small environment tweaks lead to big behavioral shifts. It's like autopilot. If the system is set right, your brain will go that way without you having to fight it every time. Take a moment to reflect on this. Identify one habit you want to change. What is the usual cue? How can you alter it to disrupt the old loop and start a new one? So, our surroundings cue our actions. Change the cues, and you change the habit. Design your environment to support your goals. Chapter 7: The 12-Week Motivation Replacement System. Now let's build the full system, replacing bursts of motivation with steady progress. We'll run a 12-week program with weekly planning and reviews. Set a 12-week focus. Pick one big outcome, G. Launch a small business. Get fit. Write a short story. This focus lasts 3 months, not a lifetime. Weekly cycle. 3. Weekly focus theme. Choose one aspect to emphasize: clarity, consistency, resilience, etc. 4. Measurable goal. Decide a simple target for the week: pages written, workouts done, calls made. 5. Minute viable action. On your worst day, what's the smallest useful thing you'll do? Edge one page, a 5-minute jog. 6. Stretch move. One action beyond comfort, EAG. Share progress publicly. Try a harder task. 7. Review day. At week's end, reflect. What worked? What failed? What will I change next week? For example, Jordan's first cycle on health, clarity. He defined his goal, jog 15K a week. Write the plan. Discuss goal with a friend. Review. He realized evenings are busy, moved workouts to morning. Week 2, focus. Consistency. Jog 5 kilometers, 3. Do one session, 7 kilometers. Review. He found after work was too tiring, so locked in morning jogging. And so on for 12 weeks, building and adjusting. During each review, treat every result as data, not judgment. If you miss a metric, ask why. Maybe Wednesday's meeting clashed with your gym. Adjust the gym time. Maybe you did well but felt overwhelmed. Adjust intensity. This loop refines the system. Try this. Pause and pick your 12-week focus now. Decide one clear weekly metric. For example, I will write 5 pages or I will exercise 3 days. Think of one very small action you'll do on a bad day, like 1 page or a quick walk. Mark a spot on your calendar for a weekly review each Sunday evening. If you do nothing else, doing this exercise now commits you. So, a 12-week plan turns vague goals into a concrete timeline. Weekly planning and review make sure you. Chapter 8: Building Identity, One Action at a Time. Ultimately, identity is the deepest motivator. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your identity, the beliefs you have about yourself. Every action you take is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Each day you follow your plan, you reinforce that identity. Each day you stray, you weaken it. Psychology calls this identity-based habits. When you consistently act like a certain kind of person, you start believing you are that person. For example, if you do push-ups every morning, you become someone who is fit. If you write daily, you become a writer. Jordan gave himself an identity shift. He didn't say, I try to work out. He said, I am a morning exerciser. At first it felt like an act, but after 3 weeks of showing up, the thought of skipping felt wrong. His brain said, he doesn't skip. The evidence, his own consistency, supported this new identity. You can do the same. Keep a record of your wins, a checklist, a diary. Each item I did the workout or I completed that task is evidence for your new self-image. Review it, especially on hard days, to remind yourself that you are the type of person who takes action. Of course, perfection is not required. If you miss, say I slipped today, but not tomorrow. Avoid statements like, I failed, I'll never succeed. Protect your identity by interpreting setbacks as temporary and external. Take a moment to reflect on this. Picture yourself at the finish line of these 12 weeks. What will you have to prove to call yourself that new person? Write it down as I am someone who see. Use that as a North Star in tough moments. So, identity determines action. Act like the person you want to be consistently, and soon you will feel like that person. Every day's behavior reinforces your self-image. Conclusion. Structure over spark. Let's tie it all together. We now understand motivation is temporary. It comes and goes like the tide. Willpower is limited. It depletes with use. Hype can mislead, inspiration fades, structure remains. Systems are our ally. Environment cues, routines, and identity carry the load. You have built your own structure, your chosen focus and plan, your daily and weekly commitments, your prepared environments and cues, your minimal actions and stretch moves, your habit of weekly review, your reinforcing sense of identity. When motivation dips, and it will, these foundations keep going. They are the engine that runs on consistency, not emotion. Imagine motivation as a campfire. It lights up everything beautifully for a while, but it dies out at dawn. Structure is like a building's foundation and power grid. Even when the fire's gone, the building stands and the lights stay on. Jordan's journey shows this clearly. He no longer waits for hype to appear on Monday. He walks out the door at 6 a.m. because his alarm clock says that's what he does. He ignores the urge to quit because his calendar and his identity say keep going. That's the difference system makes. Your final task is simple but profound. Trust the process. You know where you want to go. You have the plan. Day by day, let your structure carry you. Any single action is small, but together they rewrite your path. Remember, motivation is a spark. Structure is the engine. Let the engine run.